I'm glad you're listening to this recording, and I'm not too sure where you are in your life right now, but I'm taking that by listening to this, you're ready for a change. You're ready for something better to happen in your life right now, financially. You're ready for maybe a career change. You're ready to make some extra money, so maybe you can do something with that extra money. I'm not 100% sure why, somebody introduced you to this, but whatever the reason, I want to let you know that it is possible to achieve your goals and dreams with this business. I'll give you my background in this business. I started when I was 21 years old. I was a student at the University of Texas, and somebody talked to me about this business and told me that I could make some extra income while I was going to school. So it was something flexible, and that's something that a lot of people are looking for, something that they can do with some flexibility. And so I started, and my first year part-time, I made $12,800. And it wasn't a ton of money, but for the effort that I was putting in, I felt it was pretty good income. And then what I saw is that if I gave it more effort, I would be able to make more income. And as I got my degree that year, I was taught to go to school, get good grades, get a degree, and find a good job. And I was taught that, and I was following that plan. And so as I got my degree that year, I started applying for jobs. And now I had a degree from a prestigious university, and I started applying for different jobs, and I put on my best suit or my best slacks and tie and all that, and I try to answer the questions the best way possible, try to say the right things, and then they would like what they heard, and they would offer me a position. But the problem was that the positions that they were offering were all $12, $13, and $14 an hour. And what I found out is that I couldn't do too much on $12, $13, $14 an hour. And I was young, and they told me, well, that's just entry level. It can get better from there. But one thing I figured out is that the people that were there, that had been there 10 years longer at those different jobs, they didn't look too happy. And I figured if I kept doing what I was going to be doing, if I kept doing that, I probably wouldn't be too happy either. If I started, even though it was entry level, and I would work my way up, I probably wouldn't be too happy either. And I felt that if you look at right now at your job, look at the people that have been there 10 or 15 years longer than you, and see, do they look happy? Are they thrilled to be there? Are they excited about their opportunities? Are they excited about their life and their business and their finances? Are they excited about that? And guess what? If they're not, then that's probably going to be you in 10 years if they've been there 10 years longer than you. And I looked at that, and I was a young man, but I said, you know what? I don't want to follow that route. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a business owner. And instead of taking a job, I went full-time into financial services, and I said, I can do this. And my only goal when I was 22 years old was to make $4,000 a month. And I figured at 22 that'd be a pretty good goal, and I worked at it. And 2.5 years after going full time, I became a regional vice president with the company, and I had exceeded that monthly income goal, and I kept working at it and working at it, and I kept building my business. Now I've done Primerica two different ways. I've done Primerica where I was helping out families, and I was making decent income, but it was all coming from me. And then I decided to do Primerica a different way, the way that I've been told that would be better, but I never really did it. And the first way that I did it, it got me to a $92,000 a year income, and it was basically me with a small team of people doing a lot of the work myself. Close to 100% of my income came from me, maybe something like 90%. And I go to my wife, and I had my two little girls and my wife, and I said, I am tired. I love what I do, but I don't feel like I felt so stressed. And so I said, I'm tired. I want to do this the other way. I want to really give it my all the other way, the way I've heard that can be done, but I've never done it. And so I go at it, and I do it the business owner way, the way where you actually build a team and grow a business. And in 2.5 years of really focusing on recruiting and making mistakes throughout the process, but doing the best I could, my income jumped. And so it went from $92,000 a year to the following year, $76,000 a year. So my income fell, but all that $76,000 actually came through recruiting and building and doing the right things and actually building an organization. And so it did fall, and it was tough for it to fall. But then the next year, it went back up to 91,000. And again, I was doing the right things. I was recruiting, training people, developing people, all the right things as far as actually building a business. And what happened the following year, my income went over $160,000. I gave myself a $70,000 a year raise from one year to the next. And you got to ask yourself, can you do that at your job? Is that even possible? And I was able to do that with our business. And then the following year, I went over to 170,000, over 180,000 the following year, over 200,000 the following year, 238,000 the following year. And so, and it just kept going. And so what I saw is that if I just focus on recruiting and building and doing this business the right way, I could actually build a business where I could have tremendous freedom. If I took a look at my income in that year where I made 92,000, almost all of it came from me. I take a look at my income in the year that I made 238,000, and over 90% of my income that year came from a team. See, that entire year, I did 18 transactions, 18 new clients that came from me. Other than that, the rest of them, over 90% of all clients that were coming in from a team of people that I have built and trained and developed. And I want you to understand that if you want to have a big income and a secure income, you can do that with this business. You can flat out do that with this business. And it's not going to be easy. And I've gone both roads. I've done it through the basically a financial advisor type of role. And then I've done it through the business building type of role. And I tell you what, if you really want to explode your income, you want to make big income, you want to have freedom of time and money, then the way to do it is through doing it through business building, through recruiting, training, developing people. And once you fall in love with the business building aspect of this business and understand that everybody could use an extra $1,000 or $1,500 a month, everybody could use some extra income. Why not give them a chance to make some extra income with you? So first you learn it, but then you teach it, and you give them the chance to make that extra income with you. And then you start growing from there. And then you start thinking, well, what about full-time income? Who doesn't want a career change if the money were right? Who doesn't want to make more income, be their own boss, just have a better quality of life, have freedom in their life? Who doesn't want that? And once you start realizing that, you realize, wow, there's a lot of people that want that. And then you start building your business and increasing your speed and really finding the right people and finding leaders. And if you do that, great things will happen to you. So if you're listening to this and maybe you just want to make an extra $1,000 or $1,500 a month, or you're listening to this and maybe you want a career change, or you're listening to this, or maybe you want to double or triple your current income, you're just looking for an opportunity. You're looking for an entrepreneurial opportunity that actually works, for something solid, for something where the products are actually needed out there, where the products are strong and stable, where it's a need, not a want. Then this business could possibly be for you. Make sure you get with the person that asked you to listen to this and talk to them and say, I want more information. I want more information. I want to know the details. And I promise you that if you take this business seriously, this will change your life. It will totally 100% change your life. A life of freedom, a life of having abundance, a life of not being limited by finances, a life where you don't worry about the little things anymore. You can 100% change your life. Ask the person that asked you to listen to this and ask him for more details. And hopefully I get to meet you in person sometime soon.